Now is Republican Senator James Lankford from Oklahoma, who's co-sponsored the Secure Elections Act, one of the main bipartisan efforts in Congress to address election security. Senator Lankford, thanks for coming on. I know we've been wanting to talk to you about this. Mitch McConnell said the other day that he thought bringing this issue up was just simply a pet issue for the Democrats. And the first thing I thought of is, well, the easiest way not to let Democrats play politics with it, put your bill on the floor and get a vote.
Be great. What we try to be able to put in the Secure Elections Act is very simply what are the lessons we should have learned from 2016? Security clearances, access, information sharing state to state with the federal government, the things that were missing from 2016 that was not during that time period. So we try to be able to put it into one bill and to say these are simple lessons learned. The challenge that McConnell has is there are things like H.R. 1 right now that they're saying that's their election security bill, but it federalizes elections. It requires every vendor to have federal certification. It gives federal tax dollars to every candidate in America. So it is a really different type of structure. And I think McConnell's frustration is if I'm going to bring up a bill that should have strong bipartisan support and spend a week fighting off amendments that there's no way we'd ever support, why would I use my time to be able to do this?
But see, I guess I go back to you and I are about the same age. I think we both got raised by Schoolhouse Rock. I mean, what's wrong with the House and the Senate ping-ponging back on something as important as this?
Yeah, no, it is an essential piece. And the helpful part about this is most of the things that we would propose on election security are already being done by DHS already, and that we're implementing. That's why 2018 went so smooth. There are already security clearances in every single state now. There's already communication state to state. There's already red teams that are working with the federal government with each state. All that voluntary communication is already happening. And Congress gave $380 million to the states just a year and a half ago to be able to help with their election systems, to be able to help with their cybersecurity. So I've heard some folks say Congress has done nothing on this issue, DHS has done nothing. That is absolutely not true. $380 million is certainly not nothing to be able to get to the states, and there's been a lot of work already. My concern is I don't want us to ever let our guard down. I think we need to stay vigilant on this, and my fear is not as much 2020 as it is 2024, 2028.
I guess I go back to, is Senator McConnell worried that somehow the president would veto this?
No, I don't think so. I think the bigger concern is that it gets all tied up into things that are not going to be productive. He wants to actually, in the limited time that we have on the floor, actually bring things up, have productive debate, and to be able to deal with that and to be able to pass it, make law, and keep going. That's why we have the NDAA on the floor this next week dealing with defense issues. The House has one version. The Senate's going to have another version. We're going to go through that Schoolhouse Rock type of motion back and forth, but at the end of it, we're going to actually resolve it. I don't think he has confidence that we're going to do Schoolhouse Rock with election security and actually have a bill at the end.
Well, but I guess I go back to the politics of it. The best way to call the bluff of the Democrats on this, if Mitch McConnell thinks this is some sort of just simple political thing they want to do, is to actually hold the vote.
Yeah, I get that. That's why I continue to be able to work on the bill. At the end of the day, my responsibility is to get a bill ready. The leader's responsibility is to be able to bring it up or down, how it goes through committees. Not my issue.
What would it take?
Me making sure the legislation's ready.
What do you think it would take to convince McConnell to bring your bill to the floor?
I think it's solid bipartisan support that this is not going to be some game at the end of it to try to add things that everyone knows is going to be a poison pill, or to try to federalize elections. And that's been one that we push back on pretty hard, to say the goal of it when you have election security issues is to keep elections secure by keeping them separate. It was one of the strengths of our system that when the study was done, when every state has a different system, you might look at it as inefficient. But when you're trying to hack all those, you see it as very safe to try to help protect all the different systems.
Let me move to another issue here, and that is the issue of we may now go, we're at 6 months now with an acting defense secretary in some form or another. We're at least going to be another, you know, look, you tell me how you guys move, but maybe even if he nominated this gentleman today, we're probably looking at the fall at best. Are you concerned about America's national security presence right now, or the command and control of the Pentagon when you have an acting going on for this long?
Yeah, it is always better to have a confirmed person in that position. That's why Mattis was confirmed within the first month of the new presidency, because that's one of those prime positions that you want to have there and have stable. So, yes, it is a concern long term. When you've got an acting person working with every military across the world in our cooperation that we do, every government in the world looks to the United States military and to whoever the Secretary of Defense is to be able to speak for our country. We don't have that person speaking for our country in a military-to-military relationship right now, and it's exceptionally absolutely important that we get that resolved.
One other thing that I wanted to address with you, because I think you were on right after this happened. Jamal Khashoggi, you believe that the United States need to have a strong response to this murder. Obviously, you do not. I know you don't believe there's been a strong response. Why do you think this administration has been hesitant to have a much stronger response against Saudi Arabia for what was done?
So this administration's told me, has said publicly and has told me privately, they have had a strong response. They have had face-to-face conversations. They have tried to be able to push back. The challenge is, where do you push back when Iran is a clear threat towards Saudi Arabia, and what's happening in Yemen when they're literally sending rockets into Saudi Arabia right now? There are some folks that would say, well, let's just expose Saudi Arabia and that'll teach them a lesson that they're in a war zone and we won't help. I don't think that helps protect civilian casualties either. So they're in a weird spot trying to navigate this, where they want to have consequences for the Saudi regime there, but not leave their civilians exposed at the same time.
You know, this is sort of the story of this is the story of the United States relationship with Saudi Arabia going back 40 years, Senator.
It is.
There's always a reason not to hold them accountable. Is it any wonder why he thought he could get away with it in the first place?
Well, I think he's faced quite a bit of international pressure and a pressure from the United States, and I think things have changed in that, and there's a lot of additional pressure. You've got young leadership there that they're going to have to learn what the boundaries are. We're going to have to make it very clear. Obviously, the Senate's spoken out on this. The House has spoken out on this. Administration officials have spoken privately to leadership there, and we're going to see where things go at this point. You're right. This has been a multi-decade issue with Saudi Arabia. They are essential in that area. They are a partner for us long term, and when we're dealing with the instability of Iran right on their border, that is a destabilizing force.
Are you open to the president sitting down with Iran, one-on-one talks with a nuclear deal?
Wow, I'm open to any of our presidents ever sitting down with leadership to be able to work through as many issues as they can. I'd like to have some pre-stipulated things you're going to have rather than
you
just
would
an
not
open
go,
dialogue.
So you don't believe in no preconditions? Because apparently
I don't.
President Trump would go with no preconditions. You would not.
I get that. I think this is dissimilar to North Korea, where we've had no relationship with. We've had some ongoing conversations back channel in front with Iran that we've got to be able to resolve. When we get into those conversations, we should have conversations, but we need to know where we're going with it at the end. They're still the largest state-sponsored terrorism in the world, and we can watch oil tankers having mine attacks on them to be able to see how they typically respond in the world. We just can't allow that, but we should sit down with them and work it out.
Senator James Lankford, Republican from Oklahoma. Let's see if we get this election security bill maybe before the end of the year. Fair?
Would be good. That'd be good to see. We'll see how that goes.
All right, sir. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views.
Thanks.
Always good to have you.